There's been more shelling near the border between Myanmar and China. Fighting between Myanmar's army and gunmen who want greater autonomy for ethnic Chinese in Myanmar began almost 2 weeks ago. So far, about 30,000 refugees have crossed the border to seek safety in China. Adrian Brown reports from the border town of Nansan in China's Yunnan province.
Well, several times today we've heard the distant thud of artillery. The fighting on the other side of the border does tend to ebb and flow, but here on the Chinese side things are relatively calm. What we don't know, of course, is how many civilians have been killed, caught in the crossfire. One Chinese journalist I spoke to, who was able to get to the town of Lokang, about 10 kilometers away from here, says that he saw the bodies of at least 20 men and women lying in one street. We can't verify that, but we've also been hearing stories of our own from refugees who escaped. Nansan's new trade and exhibition centre is a symbol of the economic hopes China has for this remote region. But today it's been transformed into a refugee camp, overflowing with those who fled the fighting, often escaping with just a handful of possessions. Like those on this side of the border, they're ethnic Chinese, and with accounts of brutality by Myanmar's army.
The soldiers caught me and hit me again and again like this, just like this on my own head.
This farmer arrived 9 days ago.
They took most of our cattle. I only have a few left. It's a big mess there. It's too dangerous to go back. We're afraid they might kill us.
Elsewhere, families squat in a row of partially built shops, fending for themselves as best they can. The military's in charge of this humanitarian operation. A soldier shouts at the refugees to go inside. He doesn't want us filming them. Sometimes the soldiers succeed. Well, behind me are some of the 30,000 refugees who've crossed over from Myanmar into China during the last few days, and beside me are Chinese soldiers who are trying to prevent us filming. It is a sensitive issue for China. They are providing food and shelter and water for these refugees, but this is a tricky situation for China. Tricky because some of these refugees want China to support their campaign for autonomy, but Beijing insists it doesn't interfere in the internal affairs of other countries. The border between China and Myanmar was eerily quiet in Nansan today. Normally, it's one of the busiest crossing points between the two countries, but some of the fighting is going on in the town of Lokang, just visible in the distance. And for some of those who fled, this is now as close as they can get to home. You don't get to choose your neighbours. China has 14 of them, and the one causing it the most angst at the moment is, of course, Myanmar, a country that it considers a friend and an ally. But that friendship is being strained by what's happening just across this border.